Hi all. So today we are going to study about data information at different levels, types of information, the formats, how different organizations from very low level to the very high level, how the information is used in the making of decision, and apart from the decision, for what all tasks does the information goes. So we are going to see the types of decision that is based on information. So information is also used for communication. So we are going to see what are the types of communication, how communication and information system altogether helps the organization in again taking the various decisions or doing the daily based routines and everything that an organization has to do with the information. So all those things we are going to cover today. So first is data versus information. So what is it? Anything that you get, right? The facts, the raw format of anything, that is an information which doesn't make sense to you. Okay, so that is nothing but a data. Now when you pre-process it and you convert into something that could be useful to you, or even if it is not useful to you, it does make some interpretation or some pattern or something that you can understand out of the data after pre-processing. That converted form or the pre-processed form of data, we call it as a information. Okay, now if talking about our notepads or textbooks and anything, we have a number of leapies, right? We that is called the human readable format. But the same thing, when it is stored on any kind of devices or machine, it is stored in the form of binary digits. So binary means 2 and binary digits means 0 and 1, that's it. Okay, so if you don't know what is binary digits, you can go and Google it. Like in Roman numbers, we write I as 1, 2 I as 2, right? 3 I as 3, I V as a 4. Similarly, binary digits also we have pattern for writing the numericals and the alphabets and the other data. Even the images, video, blob, all kind of things can be written in the binary digits, because that is how the currently information systems or any data is stored on the any devices. Okay, so so that was about binary digits. Now the basic form or the measurement of the data is nothing but we do in certain binary units called kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, petabytes, and the size goes on and on and on. Okay, now for example 1 MB is equal to 1024 KB. Okay, now why 1024? Because the every data that we store on the system works on the power of 2. So even if you are not getting this, that is fine. We have nothing to do much with these kind of technical details, but just for the information, like initially 2 power 0 is nothing but 1. So the next increment will be 2 power 1, 2 power 2. So the increment goes in terms of 2 powers. That's why we have 16, 32, 64. If you go on and on, you will be reaching 512, then 1024. So that's why the measurement we consider also in the format of 2 powers. Yeah, so keeping that aside, if you understood, that is well and good. Otherwise, anyway, we don't have anything to do with the technical details with the coming content. Okay, so next is our information as a resource. So here what we are doing is information. Now we know information is something that makes sense to us. Okay, now if we are making use of that information or the sense that is getting out of that information, then we call it as a resource. Okay, if you have money and the money has no value, then it is not a resource, correct? So if you have, suppose, old currency, that currency before demonetization that we had, if you have stored that in with you, what is the use of that? If you are not able to use that, then it is not a resource. Okay, so here we are talking about the information which can be used. That's why we call that information as a resource. So here we use information, data, and information system, so all together. So information system is nothing but which is dependent on the information and helps us in various functionalities. Okay, so this data is stored in the databases, archived after its use, is not deleted. Okay, so what this means? So if you don't know about the databases, just let me show you the point database. Okay, so if you don't know anything about database, you can go to this playlist to completely learn the technicalities and everything about database. So this is the playlist I have made. So if you are interested, you can go through all this playlist. I'll share this link in the description. But anyway, in the one liner explanation, I can say it is a format in which we store the data. Okay, now when we are storing the data for say 1 month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, that is fine. because we are going to use that data for the analysis purpose. But if the data becomes huge and huge, because now we know, let's consider the example of YouTube, where in every second nearly 10 years of video, like the duration of 10 years worth of videos are uploaded every second. So you can imagine the amount of data that is coming. So if the same thing, or at least near to that scale of data, is coming in the organization, we cannot store that much data in the database because we are not going to use it very recently. Okay, so the one point that I want to mention here is the data that we are going to use recently, or like in every week or every month. So those kind of data that we are going to use, that we store in the database. So after suppose 2 years or 5 years, I want to clear some space. I don't want to store everything in database, so I'll move that into something called data warehouse. I don't delete it, I move it to data warehouse. With the help of data in the data warehouse, we go for the big data analytics and using Hadoop and all. Okay, so for now, just our context was to say that data is stored in something called as database. Okay, now archived after its use and not deleted, because here we are saying it is not deleted. We zip that and we store it somewhere else, like I mentioned about data warehouse. So all the point that we wanted to understand based on this is the information which could help us in the decision making, or in understanding something, or bringing some changes in the functionalities. So any information which could be useful for an organization, we call that as a resource, and we store it in the database, and we try to make use of that information with something called as information system. So if you don't know about information system, in the previous session of the same playlist we have covered that as well, so you can go and watch that. Okay, so that was all about information as a resource. Now information in the organizational function. Now we have seen that information is a resource. Now how the organization function make use of that resource is what information in organizational function means. Okay, so for suppose here we have marketing, HR, operations, manufacturing, different kinds of department. Correct. Now let's try to understand in specific. So marketing people, if you are from any one of this department, you will easily be able to correlate. Now marketing department, what these guys see is that we need to find the we need to make sure that the correct product reach to the correct customers, or the product that we are having, we need to find the proper customer for that, who is actually in need of this thing. So okay, so how do they do this? Okay, so one of the information that they can get is from surveys, from the mobile numbers, from the credit card usages, and different kinds of, like you have a competitor who is going to a specific region for a specific customer, so you can see, okay, this person is using my competitor's product, so I can also use them. So how you are getting all this information? It is based on the information that you have stored in your database. Correct. If you have a customer, for say, who is in a regular touch, or who is your regular customer for a month. Okay, now based on his information, you came to know that even the people in his neighbors are also willing to buy this. So this kind of analysis and techniques you come across when you use the information in terms of marketing department. Okay, now similarly HR. So here we see we have certain employees, and whenever they are coming, so the attendance is taken. Whenever they are applying, what are the leaves they have taken. So all this data that is generated based on the employees, that is the context of object which HR is concerned about. So he or she will be concerned about the data which is related to employees who have been hired or who are to be hired. Okay, so based on them, they will give some bonus or performance ratings, everything. Okay, so this is how information is helping in the HR department. Similarly in the operations. So operations you take in any domain. So operations always talks about the core operations, or the operations which are happening on the daily or weekly or monthly basis. That is some activity which is happening again and again very recently. Okay, it might be a day, a week or month, but not a long term period like 2 years, 5 years, not like that. Okay, so those things are called operations. So if suppose we take an assembly line on any manufacturing hub. Okay, so some of the examples of operations might be the cleaning of the machinery, upgrading of the machinery, or painting of the machinery so that rust can be avoided. So these are something which happens very recently. So those are operations. Now again, how we come to know how is the information is used here? It again depends on the nature of the operation. Okay, so if suppose we regularly see that okay, old machinery were getting rested after 1 week, so we need to make sure that after every 5 days we'll get a notification saying that this is going to be rest, so you need to paint. Okay, so we try to see the trends. Okay, if we produce 10 units of output, this much is the effect on the depreciation of this machine. If this much is the output, then how much it is affecting my machine. So we do operations regularly, and based on the output and the experience we try to enter into a machine, or we try to enter a feedback. So that is how information is getting generated, as well as we are able to use the information that was previously generated. Okay, yeah. Next we have manufacturing. So here assembly, records, inventory, departments. So here again we have a similar kind of things, just that department is different. Okay, so similarly if we have a transport department, so transport department will make sure that the information they are using, that okay, this employee needs to go to this place, so we need to make sure that he will leave the organization at this time, and we need to make sure that he reached, so we'll get some notification that the person is reached safely. So each department will have its own functionality, and based on that functionality it will be in the need of different information. So it will use different kind of informations, and it will produce different kinds of information based on the functionality that each department does. Okay, next we have types of information technology. So if you see, I'm going to show you the next 3 headings of the topics, because everything is correlated. So here types of information technology, next we have types of information system, and then we have decision making with MIS. So if you can see, in all these 3 we have 3 points. So how those are correlated is, we are going to study about functional information technology, which is going to be used by strategical decision. Similarly we are going so it's like the first point of this topic is going to be related with the first point of the next topic, is going to be related with the first point of the upcoming topic. So it's fine, let's go one by one. So first let's say, what is functional information technology? Okay, yeah. So before talking this, that what is functional information technology, if you have not watched the previous videos, let me tell you that information technology is nothing but the artifacts, that is the devices or any kind of instruments that takes in a part of information system. Okay, so all these artifacts called information technology is used in a system called information system. Okay, now the functional information technology is nothing but the application which I use at an individual level. For suppose I am using email. So email, is it using for myself? No, I am using it to send a message to someone else. So that is not coming under an application which I can say that I am using it for myself. No. So for suppose I am using calculator. Okay, for suppose I am using a software called Paint, MS Word, MS Excel. So those kind of things which I am using it for myself, those softwares or those application or any such devices which I am using for myself, I'll call them as a functional information technology. Next is a network information technology. So just now I have taken an example of email. Okay, similarly I can say I'm using YouTube, I'm using Blogger to share my information with you guys. Okay, so these kind of things I can call it as a network information technology. So you can see information technology which is helping me to the network. Okay, so that I can say the network information technology. Now coming to finally enterprise information technology. So here what I can say is, let me take an example, then you will be understanding. So when any software comes at your face and you want to categorize it, try to understand what it is meant for and what is the functionality that I can achieve using that software. Okay, so yeah, here if I say I'm doing work from home, so the company is paying me for my internet, so company is paying me to get some infrastructure. I'll finally, after doing all those buyings and stuff, I'll submit the bills to my company. If I'm going to somewhere else, like to some other place for the business purpose, then I'll submit my transport, I'll submit my staying bills, everything to the to my organization. At the end of the month, the company is going to give me all the money, and like this, whatever this expenditure has happened with all the employees of the organization, they will get a conclusion, right? So they are taking some decisions based on the entire monthly functional activities. Okay, now they are taking that information into some software. Okay, now that application is used for some other analysis, like that application could be used for payroll as well, for accounting as well, for preparing various financial statements as well. So those devices which helps the enterprise at the global level in the sense, not geographically, like functional device. Okay, so those things I can consider that as a enterprise information technology. For example, I can give you okay, this CRM, customer relationship management. Okay, so that is one of the I can say application which is affecting the enterprise as a whole. Okay, so these were the types of information technology at an individual level which helps in the communication and which helps the enterprise at its global functionality. Okay, now types of information system. So here, if you are not able to understand what we are trying based on this, just wait for 2 minutes. Once we are done with this subheading, then you will get to know what is meant by types of information system, because somehow sometimes headings makes us confusion. Okay, now transaction processing system. Let me give you a very simple example. You go to an ATM and you withdraw some amount of money. So what did you do? You did transaction. So because of this because we do withdraw from ATM many times, we consider that as a transaction, but that is not a transaction. Transaction means anything which we can do very immediately with any kind of system. Okay, suppose we are going to a portal, we are going to a search engine and we are trying to search for a D point, a channel, like that we are searching. Okay, so when we are searching, we are getting a response immediately. Why? Because there is a Google company or a firm which have deployed or which is hosting this Google website. Correct? Now if you go to ATM, that ATM is not working because it is there, because there is a program which is running inside the ATM which is waiting for someone to ask something or some request so that it can produce the response immediately. Okay, you go to some bus booking portal, or you go to movie buying tickets, buying for movie tickets. So all that things, when you are doing some response you are getting, some dashboard you are getting based on your login, based on the kind of feature that you want to use. You go to Paytm, you go to GPay, you want to do recharge, or you want to send the money. So based on your input or your wish, the kind of functionality that you want, it is immediately getting us the response. Okay, so it acts. So all the transaction processing system are the devices or the system which acts as though they are talking to us. That means they give responses to us immediately. So those kind of things are transaction processing system. Now I hope you got what is meant by this. A system or devices which are there in front of us as though they are talking to us. That means they are giving a response immediately to us. Okay, yeah. Now let's see what is management information system. So here let's see what is this, and then we'll try to understand how it is different from transaction processing system. So if we see the definition, management information system, we abbreviate that as an MIS. So this is used to process data generated by transaction processing system by aggregating data into reports. So at a one liner we can see that it is making use of the data that is generated by the transaction, and the output of it for the analysis purpose could be in form of reports, charts, graph. Okay, so this is divided into 3 times: real time, batch mode, and specific. So suppose as soon as you come to this channel and watch this video, what is happening? My YouTube, if I go to my YouTube analytics, I can see that someone is watching my video, and he subscribed to me or not, and if he liked my video or not. So everything that you are doing, I am able to see. So that is called real time monitoring. Okay, now this I am able to do this real time monitoring with the help of MIS. Okay, but suppose if there are 10,000 people who watched my video. Okay, now those 10,000 people liked it or not, that I don't want to get notification as soon as they like or they do any comment, because then it will be like a chaos at my end, right? I will not be able to use that kind of things, and it is of no use for me. Okay, so in that scenario, what batch mode does is it will make sure that okay, after 20,000 subscribers it will ping me, okay, this much milestone you read. Okay, after having 100 comments, it will tell me, okay, this is what you have done so far. So that is one example. Other example is like the processing of any file, for say, Okay, now if I call a service to process my file every time I get a new file or a new request, that will be unnecessary, but it is like I am doing unnecessary effort. Instead, if I wait for 10 files to come and then I call a service to process all these 10 files, so that is called a batch mode. That is, I am collecting all the requests that I am getting, and once I get suppose 10 or 20 or 30, then I'll call that service. So here I am monitoring in terms of batch. Okay, next finally we have specific dashboards which are created for specific decision. Hence MIS is designed to meet the requirements of managers. So yeah, so this is basically a kind where suppose I need something today, so I will call a service and it will get me a data from the database or a warehouse, and it will show me the report of things. So here I specifically, when required, I am calling it. Okay, this is another kind of MIS. Now MIS is used at different levels. So here different levels in the sense different levels in the hierarchy. Okay, so if you see the hierarchy, at the lowest level of hierarchy we have workers, okay, who directly deals with the customers, or who directly act as a shopkeeper, as a vendor, as a cleaner. Okay, so who are at the lower level of the hierarchy. Next we have managers. So to these people, these knowledge workers or the blue white collar workers will be reporting. Finally these managers will be reporting to the executive. Now how at each level MIS is used, that we are going to study now. Okay, so at the lowest level, knowledge workers, what they do is, for example, we take that something they are doing. Okay, now if they are doing something, and if for, okay, let's take an example of salesperson. So he is on the way to his customer's house. Okay, now on the way, what he wants to do is, he needs to understand what type of customer am I approaching, what is his requirement, what has been his history. So he'll be using his smartphone or his phone or laptop that is connected to his organization's database, and he'll try to make some kind of decision analysis for the regarding to customer. So this is MIS used by the person at the lowest level. Similarly, the manager is going to use the same data. Okay, so we'll go with our example. Salesperson is done with the conversation with the customer, where he tries to add some more information that he got from the customer. What was the discussion about, what was the conclusion, is the customer is going to buy any new set of products, or whatever the discussion was about, he'll enter into a software again. Okay, so now comes to manager. He wants to see that, okay, I sent out 10 salesperson in this in east direction, 10 salesperson in west direction. Like that, he'll have some threshold or some constraints. So now he wants to see what is the progress, what is the status, what is the conclusion of, and whether my customers got increased, whether my sales got increased. Now you want to do such kind of decisions he want to make based on the progress or status that is currently happening. So for that, he needs the information that is generated by knowledge workers. Correct? So here, this is just an example. Okay, this is not specific to this. So the managers who report to executives use decision support system which use scientific models. So here basically managers use decision support system in which the data is inserted, or the data on which the decision support system works is generated by knowledge workers, or at different levels in other departments. Okay, now they use this decision support system to come to some kind of conclusions which or they will be abbreviating the analysis or the understanding that managers came across. Okay, now they will be sending this data to the executives. Sending the data to executives means they will be inputting it to a higher level in the hierarchy. Now executive, if they see the what I can say, data given by managers, again there will be some kind of chaos in his mind, his or her mind. So they will be using a different kind of MIS called executive support system. So if you see here, managers is meant for taking decisions, so they will be using decision support system. Executives will need to they basically deals with the mission and the vision of the organization, because they are higher level than compared to managers. So they need to execute something for a long term. They need to take care of the organization at the long term. So they will be using a different MES, which is an executive support system. Now again, this will be based on real facts only. Correct? So they will be getting data which they are getting from the lower level of the hierarchy, or the data they are getting from the competitors, and different kinds of data they are getting from different sources. So they will be using this MIS to perform some kind of execution for the long term betterment of the organization. So here we saw that people at different levels of hierarchy are using different kinds of this management information system. Okay, so these two are our types of information system. Now I hope the heading makes sense to you. Okay, right. Now decision making with MIS. Okay, now if you are tired of already listening to all the concepts that we have seen, let me assure you the topics that we are going to see now, that is just an extension of what we have learned. Okay, for example, just listen to these lines and you'll get to know. We have studied that okay, let me give one liner for each of them. Tactical decisions. Okay, these decisions have a short term impact. For example, we have taken a salesman example where he was using which kind of information system. He was using transaction analysis. If you can see, he was using transaction processing system for transaction purposes, if he sold something to the customer and the customer needs to pay him, so he is using his I can say there will be a device, right, to receive money, or he'll be using his QR code for receiving the money. So those kind of transaction processing system he is using. Okay, now those things which are the decision that we'll be doing based on MIS for the short term. Okay, like we have taken an example where, okay, let's take this example itself, salesman route. So here what's happening is, suppose I was given I got 10 requests. Okay, that 10 people ordered pizza. Now I need to make sure that I need to give pizza to all of them, but I will not just go ahead and buy pizza and give it to them. No, so I need to make sure that I consume as much less fuel as possible and I consume as much less time as possible. So for these two things to happen, I will choose the most optimal route, so that I cover all the 10 people and give them all the pizzas that they have ordered. Okay, so that's the problem that we call it as a salesman route. So these kind of decisions, right, which have a very short term impact and are taken by the workers and operators. So these are nothing but, we can say, blue white collar we have no blue white workers, or we can say the knowledge workers. So these kinds of workers who directly deals with the end users of their organization, so taking decisions with respect to their lower level of functionality, tactical decisions come into picture. So tactical decision is nothing but the decision which is having a very short term impact. Okay, like suppose you come to me and you bargain with me, I can give the price 90 or 100 rupees or 110 rupees. That is a very short term, a single product, right? Because if the next customer come, the cost might be the MRP, because the previous customer I gave him 1% of discount for say. Okay, so these kind of decisions are called as tactical decision, whose impact is very short term. Similarly, operational term, whose operational decisions means the decision whose impact is not very big or not very small. For say okay, let's take an example here only. Operational manager decides inventory levels and working capital. So if we have seen this, management information system uses the data coming from transaction information system. So let's say based on this month's sales and the progress and the current status, I am assuming that in the north direction people are more willing to buy my product. Okay, so this I am coming to a conclusion based on my monthly sales. So this time I am going to send more salespersons in the north direction. So that's what I am taking the decision, right? Now the effect of this is going to be there for the next complete month. Okay, so here I can see the decision that I have taken, its effect is going to the medium term. Okay, now we are going to see what medium terms and what short term means. But now based on this example that I have taken, that the manager is going to send a 10 salesperson to the north direction, because he knows there is some more selling that has happened in the previous year. Okay, so these are the aggregated data and are often supported by decision support system. If you have seen in the second level, where managers are using the decision support system to come to a conclusion. Okay, similarly, when we come to strategic decision, so if you have seen the executive level of person, here we have seen, right, executives which are at a very high level, and they make use of executive support system to take decision which is for the vision and mission of the organization. So vision and mission is not like for a month or for 2 months or 6 months or 1 year, it will be for a long duration. So that's what we say, that these kind of the executives, the decision taken by the executives are called as strategic decisions. So it is nothing but the strategic decisions are the decisions whose impact are very long term. I hope now you are able to correlate. Okay, executives, top level strategic decisions, they make use of executive a kind of mess. Okay, executive support system. I hope that makes sense, right? Now if you can see, we have seen the tactical, which is taken by the lower level worker, operational, which decision taken by the managers, strategic decision taken by executives. So if you can see, the duration is also varying, long, small, very small impact. Yeah, so that was all about our types of decisions. Now coming to our communications with the organization. So these which you are seeing, right, this is not only for organization but in general, what types of communication do we have? Okay, so synchronous communication, like suppose I and you are talking on WhatsApp, so even I can send message to you at any point of time, you can send message to me at any point of time. So the base that I am sending you message doesn't depend on whether you are available on WhatsApp or are you sending the WhatsApp, are you sending me any kind of message? No, right? So here we are chatting with each other with being independent of each other. That is, I am not waiting for you to respond before. Of course I can wait, but it is not like until you send, only after that I can send. That is not the restriction, right? So both the end people can type and receive the message at any point of time. See, that was our synchronous communication. So we have taken an example of WhatsApp. Now in asynchronous communication, if you know about asynchronous, if suppose I have 10 instructions, I will do first instruction, I will do second instruction, I will do third instruction. Now if the fourth instruction is dependent on the third instruction, I will not wait for it. Okay, I'll simply go for the fifth instruction, sixth instructions. As soon as the third instruction is completed or we get the response for third transaction, I'm going to work on the fourth instruction. Okay, so if you didn't understand that example, that is fine. So here asynchronous is like you send the response or you send out a mail and you don't wait for the response. Okay, it might come after 1 hour, it might come after 2 hour, or it might come after 1 day. So you are not waiting for them, you are simply moving ahead with your work, and whenever the response comes, then you will take appropriate action. So when two or more parties are communicating but not simultaneously, then we call that as a asynchronous communication. Okay, I hope these two things make sense based on the examples. It must have been very clear. Okay, now simple communication. So here we can see it is possible only in one direction between two parties. So here you have taken a YouTube surfing. If this doesn't make sense to you, I can take an example of FM radio. Okay, so FM radio can only receive the signals, receive the radio signals, but it cannot transmit. Correct? So that was a simple communication where the communication is possible only in one direction. Next we have half duplet communication. So here two parties can communicate with each other but not at the same time. Okay, so email is an example, but if that doesn't satisfy your queries, you can take an example of walkie-talkie. Okay, when we were playing, we used to have that walkie-talkie. So if suppose my sis is in another room and I am in one room, if we are talking based on walkie-talkie, if I am talking something and she is talking something, then the messages won't be delivered. So here only one person can send messages at a time. Okay, once I say okay, over and out, it means I am closing or I am clicking on button that I am done with sending of messages. Now I am ready to receive. In this state, the other person can send me the message. Okay, so that was just another example. Now the duplex communication. Two parties can communicate with each other at the same time. So here again the WhatsApp. So basically synchronous asynchronous communication are coming in one category, and again those are coming in this duplex communication. So here I can say duplex communication means two parties are communicating with each other at the same time. So I can also say that it is a synchronous communication. I hope you are able to understand all these 5 types of communication. Okay, next we have examples of communication in organization. So as we have seen, okay, you can pause the video and you can try to guess. When we are talking about salesperson, how is he communicating to organization? So first thing, before approaching, he is using the information system to get the information about the customer, what is he intended, what is the query, what is the problem, what product is he interested to, and then after the discussion he is entering some more information, and he is connecting to organization via his mobile, smartphone, laptop, or any other portable devices. like you get a delivery from a Flipkart or Amazon. After that you sign, okay, I got received. So those kind of devices when we use, okay, so that was an example of communication that we are doing with the organization. So when we actually sign after receiving the goods, we are saying to the organization that okay, I have received and this person has delivered it to me. Okay, so that was an example of how we do communication with the organization. And within the organization means a salesperson is a part of organization. So if he is taking signature from me and he is clicking on something, okay, this is the number, this is the time I sent, so when he clicks okay, it means he is communicating with the organization. If he is not able to get the address, he will either call me or he will either call to his organization again saying I am not getting the proper address, can you get me other details. So that is how there is a communication going on. Again we have taken example of when as a for a company's purpose I am going to some other place and I am submitting my bills to company. So here again the company is going to provide me some service, is going to validate the bills that I have given, they are tracking what I am doing. So again this is also a kind of communications. Okay, now decision making with the communication technology. So here let's take an example and we can try to understand. So basically this point says that we are making some decision. Okay, here we are making the decision with the help of communication technology. So let's say there is a huge firm which is a petrol pump retailer. Okay, now from that retailer he supplies petrol to different branches of the petrol pump. Now every day, if you know, the petrol prices fluctuates a lot, so every day after every 24 hours a cycle, the firm, the headquarters, the main organization or the retailer is going to see how the price is fluctuating, what is the price that they need to go on with the next 24-hour cycle. So they are going to do all kind of analysis, reporting, and finally they'll come to a conclusion that okay, this is the price that needs to be used. So with the help of communication technology, they already took the decision with the help of their management information system. Now with the communication technology, they'll send out this information to all the branches, and whatever the branch managers or the functional level workers, they will try to change the price at their hoardings or in their system, and they will be having their reportings according to the price of that 24-hour cycle. So this was just an example that they are taking decision with the help of some information system, and they are passing this to the different branches of to the different branches of that organization. Okay, so that was all about communication in the organization, how they use it, what are the different levels, what are the different types of management information system. Okay, so if you if you have any queries with respect to the concept that we have discussed so far, please write down in the comment section. And if you have any queries also, any queries or any suggestions also, please write down them in the comment section. And if you liked my explanation, please subscribe, click on notification bell and share to as many people as possible. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today, and thanks for coming and watching this video. Thank you.